Glory March, Classic BattleTech Field Manual 10976, Updates. Published by Wizkids Inc. Read by Shrapnel. Commander Asia Banner of Raventyr's Iron Hand waited for 0612 local time precisely. Every second crucial to today's maneuvers. Then throttled her bold redesign of the Phoenix Hawk into a forward run. The long-legged battle mech stomped down the hillside where the Magistrate officer had waited since O'Dark 30 the previous night. Behind her, a column of fire and smoke rose towards the heavens, casting the Phoenix Hawk's shadow across rugged, rocky terrain. The ground shook beneath her feet. Not enough to throw off her balance, just enough for her to feel the explosion. Asia stomped hard on both steering pedals, lighting off jump jets and launching her 45 tons of metal and mayhem into the air, over a small rise, then soaring out over the assembled ranks of Capellan Confederation troops. Why Sun Tzu Liao, Chancellor of the mighty Confederation, had chosen infantry support for this part of the operation did not matter to the Magistrate officer. Asia only worried about her small part in today's maneuvers. That, and the alarms that abruptly wailed the threat of multiple targeting locks. Data tags flashed over her HUD, attaching intel to a sudden cluster of threat icons: Madcat, Behemoth, Vedettes, Elementals, and Proto-Mechs. The wide valley was suddenly alive with men and mechs on the move. Asia Banner blinked hard as lasers crisscrossed right in front of the apex of her jump, burning scarlet and orange ribbons of light back towards the Outworld Alliance position on her wide right flank and the Ghost Bear's wide left. Nearer, on her immediate right and left, answering volleys lit up from the Diamond Sharks and Federated Suns. Falling back towards Tukiyid, Asia found her mark below and her first target on the far side of the dusty desert valley. A Draconis Combine no Daiichi, sword upraised in challenge. She hit with knees bent and one last burst of vented plasma to take up the shock. Hit and stuck, murmuring a slow 10 count to herself. The Capellan infantry spread out and forward on either side of her position, volley firing pale emerald darts from their modified laser rifles. One man waving the Confederation flag above their position like some long ago herald. Asia levered her right arm up and forward and pulled into a long blast from her Battlemech's extended range laser. The ruby bright beam cut just above the no Daiichi's left shoulder. Tai Bledsoe did not duck away. Instead, the samurai slashed his mech-sized katana down into the beam. Rather than a burst of smoke and splatter of molten metal, as a normal laser would react to such a tactic, the prism-coated sword shattered the laser beam into 1,000 winking sparks and a fan of beams. Missiles blossomed overhead in a field of fiery chrysanthemums. Tracers shot up, flared, and died. 10, Asia whispered aloud, throttling into a fast walk and steering a serpentine trail across the valley floor as she wove between Capellan infantry and Diamond Shark sylphs, careful of that Fedson goblin. And closing, always closing, with the Combine-led ranks. Half the military units were lost between a burr ridge that cut the valley in two. But there was the Nova Cat ensign, tucked behind the serpent standard of House Kurita, and infantry carrying the Free Worlds League Eagle, marching up with Blakist armour to join ranks with the Dragon. Leading the different force conglomerations came her Phoenix Hawk and Bledsoe's no Daiichi. Where she shot, his specially treated sword burst apart the weakened beam. When he returned laser fire, she took to the air again in a series of short, graceful hops to evade. Until her final jump, which landed her point blank against the no Daiichi, staring through the ferroglass mask of her cockpit, straight into the ferroglass eye of his. Over the rise came a Clan Wolf Madcat and a Jade Falcon Nightjeer, leading the other half of the assembled forces. Loren tanks and their Fenrir salt troops trailed out to one side, a mix of Concordat and Russell Haag armour to the other. Behind them marched wave after wave of Comguard infantry, hegemony armour, and the mercenary delegation from Outreach. 9, 8, 7. The Falcon Mech Warrior had won calling honour in a series of coin tosses. Asia Banner kept up her own silent count, and so was not off the mark when the clanner fast counted the final 3 steps. She paused for the extra half second, then pointed all her weapons into the air and triggered repeating blasts that separated scarlet energy overhead. Her Phoenix Hawk was half a beat behind the other 3 battle mechs, but right on time as its laser-powered beam splashed off a fury of Shiva aerospace fighters cutting through the red lace sky overhead. Dawn broke over the far horizon just as the finale of dropships, led by the Diamond Sharks, the League and the Outworlds Alliance, thundered by in a low-pass display that shook the desert valley, the assembled troops, and likely any bystanders up on the ridgeline or filling any of the dozen nearby towns. Pre-Center Marshal Victor Steiner Davian's voice paraded over all comm channels.
I declare this martial Olympiad open!
And because it was what every faction wanted to hear, he immediately addressed the position of honours.
With an efficiency rating of 99.35%, Captain Asia Banner of Raventhere's Iron Hands will lead the Glory March.
That half second had made all the difference. Warmth flushed along the back of Asia's neck as she turned her Phoenix Hawk toward the valley's head, striking a slow pace that every foot soldier could match.
With pleasure,
she responded, and behind her every faction gathered in parade as the armies of the entire Inner Sphere struck out on the march.
Incoming message. Decrypting. Decrypting. Decryption complete. Play file.
Is there any way to introduce or even categorize the events of the past decade? How does one even begin to put these events into perspective without losing all hope in humanity or collapsing into sods? I've been a soldier my entire adult life,
and truth be told, some of my childhood years as well. I thought I'd seen the worst humanity had to offer, that I'd experienced the fullest depths of pride, envy, gluttony, lust, anger, greed and sloth. I was wrong. In these past 10 years, I have witnessed acts so despicable, so inherently wrong, all done in the name of God and country, that I could not believe that any human being could ever have committed them. I've witnessed wars so terrible that I felt more sorry for those who survived than those who died and were thus spared the aftermath. And I've seen supposedly honourable men act with such contempt and cruelty that I wished I was no part of their same race. But, no matter how physically sickened and emotionally drained these actions left me, I came to understand something. These acts were not carried out by people motivated by those 7 deadliest of sins. They were carried out by individuals frightened of the future, people with the weight of billions of souls or millennia of history on their shoulders, who could not perceive the days to come through the fog. Because they could not see, they acted out of fear. How else can one explain the past decade? I, for one, choose to not believe in evil. Blindness and folly are at least redeemable. All of these issues weighed on my mind, and as I and my staff put this report together, I was not the only individual so affected. But we knew our job was and still is more important than our personal feelings, no matter how deep they might run. The upcoming Star League Council meeting will likely decide the fate of the Inner Sphere. Our leaders must be able to make the best informed decisions. For that to happen, we must all work to overcome our personal demons and put behind the pain and suffering of these past several years, so that we can provide the level-headed advice they expect from us. We can look forward to some rays of hope among the bleakness surrounding us. Amid the wars and feuds of the past decade, we have seen new growth. A few events that valiantly defy the prevailing darkness and despair. The first can be called nothing less than a miracle, and it might just be that. In late 3062, a convocation of religious and spiritual leaders from across the Inner Sphere gathered on the clan world of Babylon from an unheard of exchange of ideas with counterparts from within the clans. Never before have clansmen and Innisphere citizens interacted so peacefully and constructively. That gathering was staggering in concept, but also apparently productive enough that a second such convocation was held again this year. Delegates are still returning, but initial reports are extremely positive. And then there came the Martial Olympiad. Though some leaders attempted to turn these long-lost goodwill games towards their own agendas, the spectators and competitors did not allow that to happen. Even while the nations supporting them were at war with each other, the participants remained remarkably level-headed. Misunderstandings and occasional violent disruptions did happen, but no more so than any common sporting event, and the end result was better than anyone could have hoped for. Even amid the violence that gripped the Innisphere, almost every nation, big and small, legitimate and otherwise, and even many of the clans, sent their warriors to compete for the title. That it ultimately went to the Capellan Confederation mattered little to anyone. The spirit of coexistence is still alive. It has not been trampled under the vice of man and the hatreds of the jealous, and that is why we work still. Why even amid all the horror around us, we compile this document and know it will have an effect on those for whom it is intended. That said, my team worked long and hard to compile the information contained herein. Most of the reports came directly from the military high commands of the member states, though analysts contributed specific information on the tiny nations of the periphery. And of course this report includes information on the clans. These came from various sources. Some clan reports were intercepted or otherwise procured by operatives working within the occupation zone or in clan space, while others were drafted by our own intelligence analysts on Huntress. A few have been given freely, a testament to the inroads we have made with some of Kerensky's children. As usual, the report received from the Free Worlds League was riddled with bombastic word of Blake injections, though our intelligence command have noted several disturbing trends that bear watching. Along with these reports, we have compiled TO and Es for each major power, listing each unit's experience, loyalty to its current government, homeworld, its current strength and level of technology fielded, clan, Star League, and Omni-Mech. If a unit has overlapping percentages in clan and Star League technologies, that refers to clan equipment field retrofits made to existing designs already upgraded with advanced Innisphere technologies. The level of cooperation from each nation in compiling such information for the Council was very informative. Compared to what must be done in the days to come, our job was easy. It is now up to you, the leaders of the Innisphere, to decide how best to face the future. The hopes and prayers of countless trillions are behind you. Your decisions in the coming weeks will shape the fate of humanity like none before.
Sincerely, Caradoc Treviner, Major General, SLDF, Chief of Staff, Star League Defense Force, 1 November 3067.
Message complete. Would you like to play again?
Well, hello everyone. It's so good to be back, and I hope you enjoyed this week's tale. I originally stumbled across this little nugget of Innisphere clan periphery cooperation because of a random Google search, looking for some cool mech art. And man, I was not disappointed when I found this. You've probably seen this picture and not even realised it. It's the amazing Doug Chaff, highly prolific sci-fi and Battletech illustrator. He's done 42 book covers, 45 Battletech collector card paintings. Chances are, if you've read a technical readout, field manual, sourcebook, or looked at any collector's cards, you've seen his stuff. Anyway, I digress. The image is of a chromed visor, badass-looking red phoenix hawk, flanked by a white no Daishi and a mad cat, surrounded by what looks like soldiers who have raided the Starship Troopers prop stores, patriotically waving flags of their nations and clans, while flying battle armor and fighters are seen zooming through the air. Man, it is a gorgeous picture. Google it now. Who knew that after 5 years of near constant war, participated in by almost every single nation state, within and outside the Innisphere, that they'd all get together for their own Olympics? We know nothing that happened except the opening ceremony, which is the Glory March, and the Athlete of Honor, which was Capellan. But I like to think there was events like Shot Put with Arrow 4s or Long Toms. They had the 100-meter sprint with light mechs chased by assaults, maybe. High jump for assault mechs would be hilarious. I mean, how do you do a contest where combined arms are involved? Any ideas? Because I'm at a complete loss. If you have one, drop it in the comments below, because I have no idea. You need to go read this book, and if you do, strap in for some mind-boggling lists of nation-states, clans, merc companies, of which I can guarantee you'll never have heard of most of them. And the best bit is at the back, they all have their own random assignment tables. So if you want to build a blind force, or you just want to have some fun with random mechs, go roll some dice, and off we go. Who knows, maybe you'll find your next merc company to fall in love with just in time for the Mercenary Kickstarter in March. Huh? I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, I've been Shrapnel. Bye.